You tell yourself that one day you will finally get to your dreams, that one day you will start that project and create a life that you're proud of. But for right now, you're too busy. You have too many responsibilities. That job you don't care about, the unfulfilling relationship, and the bad habits you swear you'll fix when you have time. At least that's what you keep on telling yourself. But what if what's actually holding you back isn't that you don't have time, but it's your fear? What if you were never supposed to feel ready when you took that first step? What if you just did it anyways, even if you're afraid? Because that's what 𝐼𝐞𝐞 did.
I'm 𝐼𝐞𝐞, the hero of this village. It's my job to defend it.
Your hands are shaking.
I'm scared. What do you expect?
You're exactly like 𝐼𝐞𝐞.
I am.
Being afraid isn't a bad thing. Without fear, I wouldn't have made it this far.
I get it now. All I have to do is steel my resolve.
You tell yourself that you have goals, dreams, and a life that you'll get to one day. But until that day comes, your todays and tomorrows stay the same. A daily grind of responsibilities you don't even care about. You tell yourself that this is how life is meant to be, for now. But what's actually holding you back isn't life and all of your soul-sucking responsibilities, but because you're waiting for life to happen to you. You're waiting for perfect weather to finally leave the house. You're waiting for the perfect opportunity to change yourself. But the truth is, there is no such thing as a perfect time. The longer you wait for it, the longer you'll be stuck in place. You'll be making the same mistakes that kept 𝐼𝐞𝐞 trapped in the village for 3 whole years. It wasn't because he couldn't fight or because it wasn't a good time, but because he was afraid to face the dragon. And you have your dragon to face too. Whether it's a bad habit you want to break, the first step you've been avoiding for years, and the life that you know you should be living. Just like 𝐼𝐞𝐞, you think avoiding it will keep you safe. But that's the mistake. No matter how long 𝐼𝐞𝐞 waited, he never was ready to fight the dragon. But when he faced it, even when he was afraid, that was the moment he changed his life. The 3 years he had spent in fear of this fight he believed he would die in turned out to last only 30 seconds, and he didn't even need anyone's help. How long would you let fear control you? How long would you wait until you were ready to face your dragon? The ironic part is that this fight would turn out to be one of 𝐼𝐞𝐞's easiest fights on his adventure with Frieren. He will come across even stronger monsters and demons, and no matter how many times he fights, he still feels fear. But the difference is, now he no longer lets it control him. Courage doesn't come from waiting. Courage comes from taking action even when you feel afraid. Every time 𝐼𝐞𝐞 takes action, every time he defends Frieren and Fern, and every time he stands up to the enemy is what not only makes him brave, but makes him move forward. 𝐼𝐞𝐞 called himself a warrior and said he wanted to go on a grand adventure just like his master. But all of that was just a shallow dream that would have never came true as long as he stayed in the village, afraid of facing the dragon. The life he wanted was on the opposite side of the comfort zone he created for himself. It's only after he steels his resolve and takes action that he's finally able to make that dream his reality. What keeps you trapped in your village? And what dragon are you afraid of facing? If you think about it, it makes sense why 𝐼𝐞𝐞 avoided facing the dragon and stayed in the village. After all, the first time that he faced it, he was so terrified that he couldn't even move a muscle. So why would he want to face the dragon again after that? Especially after everyone thinks he saved the village and he got to be pampered, got to live in comfort, and pretty much lived every day being able to do whatever he wanted and being treated like a hero. When you think about it, why would he want to face the dragon? He would have to be crazy to want to go out there and fight it after that first experience. And if this is the case, why should you sacrifice your comfort and safety to face a dragon? Even if you're in a unfulfilling job or you feel stagnant in your relationship, in life, it's not so bad. We can get away with living a pretty good life without ever having to push ourselves out of safety. And even if you don't chase the dream that you want that's outside of your comfort zone, at least you're safe. At least you don't have to risk losing your friends, your safety, your home, your identity, all of the things that you have grown used to in life. At least all of those are going to stay with you, even if everything isn't as fulfilling as you wished it was. And this is what most people will tell themselves and even believe that they're okay with. And if we look at the 3 years that Stark avoided the dragon, he had to lie to himself every single day. When Frieren first meets him, he's putting on the same fake identity that he makes everyone in the village believe him to be. This stoic and unafraid warrior. But when he drops that mask, we finally see who he really is. He's a coward hiding under all of that bravado. And that's nothing that he should be ashamed of. But what he should have been ashamed of was the fact that he was avoiding taking action towards something that he knew he would have to face eventually, or live a life full of regrets. No matter how much the village pampered him and gave him everything he wanted, he couldn't stand the person that he was. And I think that this is how most of us feel deep down on those lonely nights when there's no one else around you and you're staring at the ceiling and you realize that you're living a life that you've never wanted to for yourself, and the dreams that you had for yourself are getting further and further away from you the more that you sink into this hole of comfort. It's in those moments when we know what we truly want and who we truly want to be. And that's exactly what it was like for Stark. If he never decided to face the dragon, he could not say that he was proud of who he was, no matter what others thought about him. It did not matter that the villagers saw him as a hero, because deep down, he knew he was just a fake warrior. So you're probably thinking to yourself right now, how are you supposed to act before you feel ready? And the key here is realizing that whenever you take an action that's outside of your comfort zone, outside of the routine and identity that you think you belong to, you will have excuses come up in your head. There will always be doubts and anxieties and fears telling you that this is not who you are. And learning to take action despite all of these feelings doesn't mean that you have to face your biggest dragon right away. You could face smaller monsters. Something that I noticed that was interesting was when Frieren asked Stark how many monsters he had fought, he says a big fat 0. Why didn't he fight smaller enemies before facing that dragon? He could have faced smaller monsters until he built himself up to be able to handle the dragon alone, but he didn't. He avoided it completely. And so when he does face the dragon, it's like going from 0 to 100. You don't have to do that for yourself. You can learn to take small actions. There's so many things that you can do that are outside of your comfort zone at first, but if you take just one action, it helps move you forward in the direction that you want to go. This is what Stark avoided, and this is what so many people will avoid in their entire lives, because they will convince themselves that they are so busy they can't afford a few hours, a few minutes to take actions towards creating the life that they truly want. Because we think to ourselves, oh, it's so pathetic if we have to gain confidence by killing such a small monster. We should face our dragon right away. But if you've ever played a video game, you never go from starting the game to fighting the final boss right away. You build yourself up. You fight the smaller monsters so that you can gain the XP to one day beat the final boss. And this is exactly how we should approach life, and how we need to approach the steps that we're taking to push ourselves even when we don't feel ready. One step in the right direction is better than waiting years to take one action. And if you take just one thing away from this video, realize that being safe feels nice for the moment. It might even feel that way for years to come. But in those quiet moments of life, when you're asking yourself what you really want and who you really want to be, If the answers to those questions aren't something that you're satisfied in right now, that's something telling you to push yourself. That's a voice, an impulse, a desire to grow. This is what Stark heard every time he was in the village and he was afraid at night. He knew he needed to face that dragon eventually. And what's your dragon? What do you have to face so that you are finally able to take the first step towards being someone that you're proud of and living the life that you want?